Scoreboard Sports Podcast. I am Connor Kendall. It has been a little bit since the last episode of this show, but nonetheless, it is a great time to hop back into it. It is rivalry week here in the state of Utah. A little odd for being middle of October. October 18th is when the big game is coming to Provo. On today's show, we'll be mainly focusing on that big game. So tune in and we'll hit other topics surrounding college basketball scene as well as some pro sports as well. Holy War, October 18th, this Saturday. By the time those who are watching this, it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow kickoff is 6 Mountain Time, so 8 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know where this is going. Honestly, this is such a good game. Both teams are very equally matched, both offensively and defensively. Just looking at the spread here, Utah, at the time of this recording, they're at a 3.5 spread, favorites. Honestly, that's a very scary spot if you're a bettor, because that is just, it is basically a deadlock. Even 50-50. ESPN's matchup predictor has that exactly at 50-50 for this game. So this will be one to tune into. I kind of want to hit over some statistical categories just for what I think are the keys for this game. And then we'll also share some other thoughts from across the sports media world. But when I first think of this matchup, I've grown up with this matchup my entire life. This is what I look forward to every year, every football season at least, when they play, that is. Hopefully for now and for a long stretch of time, this is going to be a consistent. And hopefully at the end of the season too. We don't like this October 18th kind of crap in the middle of the season. But nonetheless, it is here. And you got to be ready whether you like it or not. So, jumping back to my thoughts and predictions. These teams are almost identical in terms of ranking statistical categories. But I think the key for both sides, if they want to win this game, is how not only their defense is going to show up, and of course we've heard the age-old saying defense wins championships, it's which specifically linebacker unit I think is going to come to play. And to flip on the offensive side, who's going to have a stronger offensive line performance? Obviously, Utah has a nationally ranked offensive line. Offensively, they're up there in the top for offensive stats. Completion percentage for the Utah offense is number 2 in the nation with almost 80% at 79%. I think big part of that is the pocket protection for Dampier with that offensive line that he has. They're number 4 in the nation for sack percentage as well. So again, that shows you just how much protection he has, how much time he has to go through his progressions, read the field, and make his decisions. So for BYU specifically, that is going to be the target area if they want to sneak out a win, really. Not only the defensive line has to, kind of chip at that offensive line, weaken it a little bit, the linebackers got to know when to cause the pressure to make their presence into that game. Obviously, there's got to be a lot of pressure on Jay Hill, the defensive coordinator for BYU, to make these smart, rational calls. So far, he's been very good this year. The play calls, from what I've seen on the defensive side, have been very good. Not a whole lot of complaints there. The defense has been solid, so I cannot complain whatsoever. I have a lot of confidence in Jay Hill that he will have his defense ready to match up against this Utah offense. Flip it over to the Utah side of things for their defense. The defense is as you'd expect, Kyle would have prepared is also a very, very tough defense. For overall stats, we'll pull up. They're top 20 in the nation for yards against, allowing 310 a game. They're 13th in the nation for points per play, which that's kind of wishy-washy. They're top 10 for points per game, which is a better stat at 15 points a game. Also very good. For specifically, if you want to look at BYU's defense, it's honestly a very good mix of, I feel like, rushing and passing threats from Bachmeier. He has been very good at knowing when to take off with the ball when his options are not there for his receivers. So I feel like he has been very good at knowing when to go. That being said, I think the rushing attack for BYU is what is going to be the main focus for A-Rod. Whether that is with Bear, whether that's with LJ Martin, Rex, that is going to be the tone setter for this game, for the BYU offense. And for the Utah defense, they've been decent nonetheless against the run. Opponent rushing yards, they're 76th in the country with 157 yards per game compared to BYU's defense. Because I also believe that is going to be Utah's target, Utah's game plan as well. They are notoriously a run-first offense. They always have been under Kyle. And so I think that lines up very well for BYU. BYU has a almost top 35 rushing attack, rushing defense. They allow 126 yards a game on the ground, which is very good. Puts them 36 in the nation. So it's a tale of almost the same story for both teams. So it's going to be very interesting to see who gets the run game going and who can be able to stop the run, who can be able to get to the quarterback. I think more importantly, who can cause the most pressure. I think that is going to be where the game is won, realistically. As far as who I think is going to take home this win, I've had a lot of thoughts and a lot of going back and forth. I've been trying to be very open-minded. I think it's I think it's very obvious, and I don't shy away on this show that I am a BYU fan. But I've been trying to keep in very open mind as far as who is realistically probably going to win this game. And I'll give those thoughts towards the end of this episode. To go over to some more national opinions, we can go to a guy the name of, you might have heard of him. His name is Pat McAfee. He is one of the main entertainers, one of the main analysis media members for College Game Day for ESPN. Now, College Game Day is not going to be at the Holy War this year. However, they will have big noon kickoff. As you can see on the screen here, this is the ad for this Saturday, big noon kickoff. Rob Stone, Brady Quinn, Mark Ingram, Urban Meyer, former Utah head coach, Matt Leinart, El Prez, Dave Portnoy, and the Bear, Chris Felicia. So Fox will be stopping by. The game is conveniently also on Fox, so it makes sense for Big Noon to be coming around to Provo. This will be their second time in 2 years. They came last year for the BYU Arizona game, which was a pretty good game, and there's a great turnout by BYU. So I expect nonetheless, especially since earlier this year, Big Noon was out for the BYU Utah Texas Tech game, and Utah fans showed up. And if I know BYU fans, being one, we don't want Utah to outdo us. So we will be there. We'll be there and loud, and they will too. So I will be there. I'll be there bright and early. So I'll try and get some content out from that experience. I think they'll be very fun and great environment. Great way to get the game Day atmosphere kicked off. But back to Pat McAfee, part of ESPN's College Game Day, host of the Pat McAfee Show. Here are some thoughts that he had and comments that he had on his show earlier this week in regards to the Holy War.
The Holy War out there in BYU. This could have been an epic college game. Not that Georgia Ole Miss won't be. Okay, obviously huge implications. 9 versus 5. Honored, lucky to be down there. Used to have the longest home winning stretch at 33 games. Tough place to play. Obviously, a lot of history. And in the middle of a dynasty still, if they were to go on to win, people would lump this all together for Kirby Smart. Lucky to be going down there. This place, though, I think would have shut down the whole state if we would have went out there. It means something, too, this year. 6-0, 5-1. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got real playoff implications. And this is big. I love that we got Bear versus Dampier. I love the storylines that are coming, and I like how good both these teams are, Steve.
Yeah, Utah has proved it 3-0 against the spread as a road favorite, which is tough to do in this day and age of college football. And BYU came back from the dead last week, late night in Tucson, comes back, goes to overtime, wins it. Bear Bachmar, the Mormon stolen from Stanford. It's still tough to watch him play for BYU. Moving on. And plenty at stake. What do we got? Fourth time both teams in this rivalry are ranked, and all since 1994. So there's not a lot of times this game has been like this much. We know how much they hate each other. Both head coaches went to BYU. Whittingham won a national championship when he was at BYU, and now he's the head coach of Utah on a serious run in that state. So the hatred is real. I love genuine hatred. There's nothing better. But Utah feels verified being a road favorite here, seeing what they're up against.
Okay, and that's potentially because of what BYU looked like for most of that game last week. Obviously, you got to take everything into account. Kyle Whittingham's career record versus BYU. I don't know if you saw these numbers. Obviously, Whittingham, BYU alum.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Whittingham showed up at our show whenever we were out there on a motorcycle and sleeveless. So it was cool.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. Kyle Whittingham. He's 11-5 win-loss record against BYU, which also 11-5 against the spread. 5-1 against the spread versus a ranked BYU team. And 13 of 16 games have been decided by single digits. So it's a good battle. It's going to mean something. And that would have been... that could have been what they call scenes, I think, out there.
Biblical.
I think that actually, Holy War.
Yeah.
I guess it could have been pretty biblical out there.
So those were Pat's thoughts on... Sounds like he was disappointed that the Holy War was not going to be for Game Day, or Game Day was not going to be at the Holy War, which I agree. And agree full-heartedly that it would have been, quote, biblical if they were there. Big Noon Kickoff is the second best option, and we're going to be packed. We're going to be bumping up at 4 a.m. I'm planning on getting there the day before, but if Game Day was in town, it would have been even more rowdy. It legit, like you said, would have probably shut the state down. Now, going back to looking at some clips, I guess, that they showed, brought some thoughts into my head. Dampier is, I think, full-heartedly very, I would say, fits the mold of a Utah quarterback. Again, like I said earlier, they're a very run-first offense, run-first team, and he is a great scrambler. Likes to run. He is the leading rusher for the team, so that says a lot. Looking at some of the highlights that they showed, though, I feel like BYU's offense honestly has more depth to it. Utah's pass game isn't the greatest as far as having pocket presence and being able to complete the ball and not get sacked. They're pretty far down in terms of stats on the passing game. Now, BYU isn't much better, but they do, I think, have the edge on the passing game compared to the Utes. And Bear is a scrambler, I'd say. I think he's a dual threat, a true dual threat, and he's not afraid to take a hit. Former linebacker. He's former fullback. I mean, he's not afraid to take the hit, put his body on the line. And I think that will make it very difficult for the Utah defense to know what is going on in Bear's head, what his plans are. I mean, there were many moments in that Arizona win where he had his option out wide, and he decided to tuck it and run, as you saw probably on a couple of those highlights, and going for the touchdown. That's going to happen a lot in this game. Now, whether Utah's expecting that is a whole other story. I would assume so. I would assume will probably have a very good game plan for Bear, and that he's probably at the very top of their list in terms of who they want to target. So that was just a thought that came to my head. I think both QBs are great dual threats. It's a tough game. It's going to be a great game. Kind of reflect more on Pat's comments. I'm not surprised that Utah is a favorite in this game. Like they mentioned, that double overtime win in Arizona for BYU. It's showing its ugly face a little bit. It was a good win. It shows the depth. It shows the toughness of this offense, of this team altogether, that they're able to battle through not only the weather delay, but to come back from behind, get it into overtime, and win. I mean, I think that showed a lot of the mental toughness that this team is capable of having. And I think that will help them and helped them in the prep for this week, with it being probably the most important game of the year. I mean, it being a rivalry game regardless, I think it is definitely up there. But the point in the season, the future schedule for both teams, this game is crucial, especially for Big 12 championship hopes. Getting into the title race, I think Texas Tech is almost an automatic qualifier, so I think you can probably check them in. But really, after that, honestly, Utah and BYU are at the top for fighting for that second spot. And depending on other conferences and the rest of the season's playoff hopes as well could be on the line. So this game is monumental, could possibly be one of the most important games in the rivalry's history. I mean, only like they mentioned on Pat's show, fourth time, I think, where both teams are ranked going into the rivalry game. So huge game, huge stakes. Now, I think I had some other points I wanted to make, but I really think another big factor, I think, in this game is going to be the home field advantage. Now, the Cougs obviously went up to Rice Eccles last year and got it done. That crowd is rowdy. I've experienced it once for when the Utes faced Oregon 2 years ago. And it was rowdy. Then they got real quiet because they got stumped on. And they got absolutely blown out. So that was an ugly loss. I remember that was great atmosphere, but man, oh man, it dies down. And what I've seen from BYU fans in games against Portland State, against Stanford, like these very winnable games, not high caliber opponents, the stadium is packed. The stadium is rocking. It is going full volume, full hype, all 4 quarters. Hopefully their earthquake system is up to date, because it's going to be bouncing, it's going to be rocking. And that plays such a huge factor in this game for both sides. I remember the first win of this 2-game streak for BYU. Me and my brother were there. And it was deafening. And Utah was a favorite in that game as well. I think last year BYU was a favorite because it was an off season for the Utes. But in that first game, I remember the Utes came in as heavy favorites. They were coming off their first, I believe that was their first Pac-12 championship, their first Pac-12 title. So they had high expectations that season, and it did not slow down. The Utes still had the desire, the want to win that game. Obviously, they went on to win the conference, get to another Rose Bowl. But the fact that the stakes are much higher for both sides, it's going to play. That atmosphere is going to be huge, and I think it definitely will play into BYU's favor, as long as the crowd doesn't lose hope. I know as BYU fans as well, one big pass, the energy just gets sucked out, just like hitting a dagger 3 in a basketball game. Like, the soul just leaves the stadium. Gotta keep going. You gotta keep bringing the energy, because that defense thrives off of it. The team thrives off of it. So it's gonna be crucial that the fans stay engaged in this game. There's some update from the Prez. The Prez has landed in Provo, it looks like, off of his X post about an hour ago. He's digging the Y. Homecoming night. Lighting the Y up already. It's gonna... Man, beautiful. I think the Prez, I think Dave Portnoy has enjoyed both his trips to Utah. He'll enjoy this trip as well, but he seemed to very enjoy the first trip to Salt Lake, and man, I think he's enjoying this trip as well. Seems like he was a big advocator for Big Noon to take this game for Big Noon kickoff for Fox, because I believe the game at noon is, I want to say it's a Big Ten matchup. So this isn't technically the Big Noon game, which is kind of funny and ironic, but Big Noon is here for it nonetheless. I think it's that time in this episode where I give my thoughts on the game, who might come out on top. If you watched Cam and I's preseason predictions, he took the Utes, and I took the Cougars. I was riding on last season's momentum going into this season. Cam has a more level-headed brain than mine. He's more realistic. I'm a diehard. It's hard for me to cheer for to admit that the Utes are good and that they could beat us. Something about them Cougs, man. It's almost vampire Cougs as well. Late kickoff. Sun's gonna be setting. That atmosphere, I know how it is. If Jack Kelly is healthy, and that duo for us, and for the linebackers in Glasgow and Kelly, is gonna be so crucial. If Keanu Tanavasa can have a game for himself, Aliasera, the backs, Evan Johnson, Maury Bamba, the defense is so good. Initially I was accepting of the fact that I think Utah would come out on top in this game, and that's the trends. That is the consistent answer that I'm hearing. It's obvious. This is a Utah win. Utah's going to win by double digits. I don't think it's going to be like that. It's going to be a close game. I think it'll be maybe high 20s, low 30s, if that. If it breaks 30, I'll be surprised. But I think I think the Cougs squeak by. I think BYU squeaks by again and gets the win in the Holy War to make it 3 in a row. I really do. Trying to have a non-biased approach and thought to it, I think Bear will be very unpredictable for Utah's defense, because I don't think the BYU offense is one-dimensional as the Utah offense is. I feel like the offense for Utah is very one-dimensional in the running game, and the receivers are they're not, I'll say, not even close to the level of BYU's receivers, I think. So that's my opinion. It might be a hot take, but that's my opinion. I think the score will come out to somewhere of 27 to 27-21 is a score that I see this happening, and I think the Cougs squeak by. I think it just being at Lavelle is the deciding factor. I really do. I think, that's it. I think BYU comes out on top around 27-21, and I'm sticking with my preseason pick. Gotta stick to it. So far, I'm right. I've been rolling, so it's gonna be a great game. Again, I'll be at the Big Noon kickoff. I'll try and get some shots, some content to throw up on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'll try to get it out on all those platforms. Might even do a live, so we'll see. Tune in. Keep it posted on that. Kind of staying around BYU for a little bit. Preseason rankings for men's basketball this year have dropped, and I'll be honest, was not expecting this. BYU coming in at number 8 in the preseason AP poll. Now, there has been so much hype around this BYU team, and I think it's it's worthy of the hype. I think they've earned it. Kevin Young has built an absolute juggernaut of a team. AJ Deboncia, Rob Wright, Richie Saunders back, Xavier Staten, Keba Keita. I mean, there's so many tough guys on this team. It's well deserved. Two Big 12 preseason, two preseason All Big 12 members named in AJ and Richie. And then look at the preseason poll as well. BYU is landing in at number 2, below Houston and above Texas Tech. This is going to be a historical year for basketball, especially. There's a little joke. I heard Hans Olsen, play-by-play, color commentator with Greg Wrubell, the play-by-play for football, saying at Big 12 Media Days that Greg is excited for football season to get done so he can start calling basketball, because that is the vibe, that is the energy around this fandom, is we cannot wait to see what the basketball season gives us, because the football season has more than outdone itself the last 2 seasons. I mean, back-to-back 6-0 starts, but the shock of what Kevin Young was able to do last season, first year, get to the Elite Eight, man, or get to the Sweet 16, it's quite the accomplishment. So all eyes are on Provo coming up in a couple weeks. It'll be it'll be fun to watch the preseason games. I believe they have North Carolina as one of the 2 games. The other one I want to say is Nebraska. Yes, Nebraska. That one is in Lincoln. Carolina is at the Delta Center, I believe. And then they head down to Vegas for the season opener against Villanova. So it's going to be quite the year. To touch on some pro stuff pretty quickly, the NFL has been firing up on all cylinders, that's for sure. My Rams are doing pretty decent. We're looking at 4-2 on the season, if I'm not mistaken. Next game is versus the Jags in London this Sunday. Puka, believe he is questionable. He dodged a season-ending injury, is what I heard. He rolled his ankle. He had just a high ankle sprain. As of right now, he's doubtful. So far, he's been putting up great numbers: 616 yards receiving on 2 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford has been balling out this season so far, 1,600 yards passing, almost 1,700 yards passing for 12 touchdowns. So this team, I'm excited for this team as much as BYU basketball, as far as what they can produce. I think this is more than likely Stafford's final year, at least with LA. And I think the Rams can for sure make it to the Super Bowl. For sure get to the NFC championship game. No doubt in my mind about that. We'll get I think we'll get an episode out probably middle of the season, probably mid-November, and talk about playoff pictures and predictions. But as a whole in the NFL, right now, Thursday night is happening right now. Steelers are up 31-30 against the Bengals. The Bengals have the ball right now on their own 45-yard line. 2 minutes left in this game. So that is a nail-biter. Aaron Rodgers wasn't having the best of games, best of starts. He had thrown 2 back-to-back interceptions, but since then, he's been going on a tear and has thrown 4 touchdowns. So Joe Flacco is, if those who have not been in the loop, is with the Bengals now. He's having himself a night as well. 30 for 46, 314 yards passing on 3 touchdowns on the night. So it has been a battle thus far. It looks like the 2-minute warning just ended, so the Bengals are marching down. They're inside the pit 35, so it looks like they're within field goal range. So that is a doozy. Depending on when that game wraps up, we'll see. Some MLB playoff news. A little update here. Blue Jays are up 8-2 against the Mariners here in Game 4 of the ALCS. Looks like Blue Jays will be tying this series up and going back to Toronto for Game 5. Quite frankly, I don't know who I want to come out on in this series. I think the Mariners, just because the Blue Jays are in the East with my Sox. I can't get into a rant about the Sox. Sox got bounced in the wild card against the Yankees in Game 3, and man, was I upset. I was not happy. Not a happy guy. Such a bad series. The game should have been won in Game 2. That's all I'm going to say. Red Sox had a golden opportunity to sweep that short little wild card series in Game 2, but error, mistakes after mistakes. So, tough. Still stings a little. Tomorrow, I believe, is Game 4 of the NLCS. Let's see. Or tonight. The matchup already happened. LA won 3-1. Beat the Brewers tonight 3-1. They're up 3-0 in that series. Final game tomorrow in Los Angeles. First pitch 8:38 Eastern. So that would be 5:38 Pacific time. Shohei is on the mound tomorrow. He'll be starting for the Dodgers. The Brewers have not announced their starter yet. Quite frankly, I think if you're the Brewers, that's pretty good that Ohtani is starting, because since he has come back from his Tommy, he has not been as electric as he once was on his pitching game. ERA is about 4.5. In this series, 4.5, I believe. I believe yesterday or 2 days ago, Yamamoto threw it a complete game. First Dodger in a while to do that. I wish I had the exact stat. I believe it was in a long time the first Dodger to throw a complete game. Let me see if I can see it. Couldn't find it, but I know he threw the complete game, and that was the first in a while. Shohei, again, taking the mound. On the season, let me see if I can find his stats here for pitching. Shohei on the season, 14 starts, 1 win, 1 loss. ERA 2.8, so not terrible in that fashion, I would say. For the amount of games I guess started, not great. I honestly have not been impressed with his pitching this season. I mean, first season back from his injury. So next year I would expect him to ramp it up a little bit and have that pitch count kind of relieved off of him. But again, Shohei starting, taking the mound for the Dodgers tomorrow in Game 4 in LA. And final news, little home action here. The Mammoth get the home opener win against the Flames. I believe it was in a 2-3 win? 3-1. 3-1 win against the Flames. But no one cares about that. All everyone cares about is the announcement of the official mascot for the Utah Mammoth, Tusky the Mammoth. Tusky, Utah Mammoth announced the official mascot for the club, and I gotta say, he looks pretty dope. He looks really, really good. Was one of the best logos in the NHL by far, in my opinion, and they nailed it again. I think Tusky is one of the best mascots in the league as well. But that'll do it for this episode of the Scoreboard Sports Podcast. I'm Connor. Again, stay tuned for, I guess when this episode comes out, later today/tomorrow, for coverage and updates from Big Noon Kickoff and the Holy War